Yo, so this video is pretty much to laugh about something that happened to me today. Because it was just so motherfucking silly, y'all. So, I got this neighbor, right? My neighbor, Miss Shirley, ain't even my motherfucking neighbor, but I see this bitch more than my actual fucking neighbors, okay? And Miss Shirley is an older black woman, and whenever I see her, she is asking for something. And me and Jody talked about this. Me and Jody were like, shout out to Miss Shirley for like being like, I ain't got this shit, or I don't have what I need, and like being able, or rather feeling empowered enough to speak. And that's real. But like, my beef with Miss Shirley is that Miss Shirley don't wait for you to walk by to ask you for some shit. Miss Shirley Miss Shirley comes to your house. Miss Shirley comes to your house and asks you for shit. And I think like that's what fucks me up about Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley is like one step below bruh, man. Like one step below. Miss Shirley is very similar to Debo in that she will disarm you with her personality, and you will end up giving this bitch so much motherfucking stuff. So look, I had my first encounter with Miss Shirley a couple months ago. I was walking down the street and she asked me if I had a cigarette, and I actually didn't have a cigarette. And I was like, I'm sorry, I don't have a cigarette. And I kept rolling. And then one day I did have a cigarette. And like I had just started smoking it, and she just popped up out of nowhere, like on some Snoop shit and Half Baked. So I was like, oh, okay. And like it's kind of startled me. But I was like, oh, Miss Shirley, what's up? And Miss Shirley didn't even waste no time. She was like, do you have a cigarette? And I was like, I don't. But I wasn't super invested in cigarettes at the time. So I was like, do you want the rest of this one? And she sure the fuck took it. So I was like, word, okay, Miss Shirley. So I happened to like, you know, come back to New Orleans, and like I hadn't seen Miss Shirley in a minute. And there were situations between that time I just explained and me leaving New Orleans for the second time. And when I came back, I had found out through one morning being awoken by Miss Shirley at around 8 a.m. that Indy was giving Miss Shirley cigarettes, like from the crib. And I didn't know that shit. So like I'm sleeping and I'm fucking knocked the fuck out, and I hear banging at the door, like serious banging, like emergency bangs. You feel me? Because there's different degrees of knocking on niggas shit. And the way that Miss Shirley was knocking on the shit was like, there gotta be a fire. It's gotta be somebody robbing somebody right now. It's gotta be some sort of fucking devastation occurring. And when I like hopped out of bed, I like was scared. So I like ran up to the door, but I paused because like the screen was locked and the door was locked. So I like looked through the mail slot and I couldn't see too much. So then I opened up the actual door and I see Miss Shirley. And I was like, Miss Shirley? What's up? And I was like, what? I was like, what's Miss Shirley, what's going on? And she was like, hey, baby, you got a cigarette? And I was like, Miss Shirley, I know you didn't wake me up at 8 a.m. for no cigarette. And she was like, I sure did. And I was like, Miss Shirley, you don't think that's fucked up? I was like, Miss Shirley, I just went to sleep. Miss Shirley, don't come this early in the morning no more. And she was like, okay, well, where the other girl that stay here? I'm like, I'm the person that stay here. Don't be knocking this early. I'm like, other people dead. I'm like, don't be doing that. And then she was like, okay, baby, you go back to sleep. I'm like, I'm going to try. I'm going to try. Because then the okra man going to come up. And no shade, tell me why. I mean, my neighbor was just talking about the fucking okra man, talking about how the okra man be yelling names and shit of the fruit all down, up and down the street. But when you go to the truck be dumb expensive. It's like, no shade, like there's really no cheap place to get fruits and vegetables around here. Like, everything is mad expensive, like, because of that. And, like, there's a Walmart, like, around the way, but it's around the motherfucking way. Like, if you really went to Walmart, especially on this day, it's dreary as fucking New Orleans. You see me, I'm dressed like I'm going to a fucking funeral. Okay, it's cold. But, Like, you really wouldn't go to Walmart. So the fact that there is a nigga riding through the fucking streets of the hood with vegetables and shit, it's kind of amazing. But no shade, like, they charging $2 for a fucking mango, and the mango be ripe as shit. And it's like, bitch, wow. Like, you should take some coins off this. You know what I mean? It's clearance at this point. You know what I mean? Feel me? You a couple flies short of this shit being like, not really niggas looking at this shit. You feel me? So I was like, damn, but they got us one time. You feel me? Like, one time we went to the Okra Man, spent like fucking $14. Didn't really get shit. I was like, damn, Okra Man. Rude. Rude as fuck. Sorry, I've been ignoring the chat. I'm not even done talking about Miss Motherfucking Shirley. It is a food desert. Yes, I do live in a food desert for sure. And it sucks because, like, I really love fresh food. Like, I would be a vegetarian or a pescatarian, but, like, where we live, it's like I have no choice but to supplement part of my diet with fast food simply because it's, like, cheap as fuck, accessible as fuck, and it's just sucky. But yeah, no, there's no Whole Foods here, but they're building one. But like, Whole Foods is probably not gonna be that fucking cheap in the South. Just being real with you. We really are in a food desert, and it's one of those places where it's like, if you don't have a car, kind of hard. So like, we do have friends that are helping us out and hooking us up, that we could call on, but like, we're also trying to move, so it's like really hard to like really set anything up. Plus, this weather is just so bad. Like, people really don't want to be out of their houses, like, doing anything, because it's just that type of cold that just makes you real lethargic. And also, it's like so cold that like, once you get in your bed, you're so concentrated on trying to keep that heat in your bed that you don't really want to do shit else. So it's like a debilitating cold. But also, so Miss Shirley, tell me why my neighbor invited me over for breakfast, and that was cool as fuck. But I seen Miss Shirley because we was just chilling, me and my neighbor just smoking, and then Miss Shirley popped up, and the whole look on my neighbor's face, it was mad funny. Like, I could tell she didn't want to really fuck with Miss Shirley. Like, Miss Shirley came by, and Miss Shirley said some shit about how she was waiting for some shit, and my neighbor was just like, you could wait in here if you want to, I guess, like, if you would like, and let her come in. And then she also offered her a plate of breakfast, and she said she wasn't hungry, but she said she was looking for a cigarette. Miss Shirley always looking for a fucking cigarette. I swear to God, Miss Shirley ain't never bought a pack of cigarettes in her life. Miss Shirley stay asking for a fucking cigarette. Like, it's just be killing me. I was dead as fuck. And so we were smoking on a spliff. I was like, Miss Shirley, if you want a little bit of cigarette and a little bit of that wacky tobacco, you could get on this. And dead ass, me and Miss Shirley smoked. We surely did. It was wild for me. Like, at that point in time, I was like, I wish I had a fucking smartphone or some shit, because this would be a moment to capture on the internet. Like, really. Like, this old lady was like, not only smoking the fuck out of this spliff, but this bitch was catching them fucking tweaks. And I was like, Miss Shirley, calm down. You feel me? I was like, Miss Shirley, you freaking me out. You scaring me, bitch. But I was just like trying to get her to like relax, because I really like when people start wilding next to me when I'm smoking. That shit makes me wild. I'd be like, I don't know what to do. But Miss Shirley was doing the absolute fucking most. And, you know, she hit it a lot of times. And then she fucked up the rotation. And then tried to blame it on the fact that she got a rod in her leg. And I was like, word. I was like, I feel you, Miss Shirley. But really, like, had a lot of excuses. No shade. Like, Miss Shirley, like, wilding. And then, like, and then I offered her a cigarette. And then she was like, woo, she was so happy. Yo, this bitch was like, I'm gonna wait right here for you too. I'm gonna wait right here. I'm like, okay. It ain't my house, bitch. I could have fucking went home and disappeared on them. But I'm not that type of bitch. I wouldn't be offering Miss Shirley a cigarette if I didn't have a cigarette. Because I already know. You feel me? I already know. You feel me? No, ma'am. I don't want that kind of stress. So, I don't know, but then a part of me feels like, damn, because, like, I'm not going to give that bitch no more cigarettes. You feel me? Like, I only offered her a cigarette because, like, I had a cigarette, and now I really could use a cigarette, and I don't got no fucking cigarettes. So now I'm like, damn. But at the same time, I was like, Miss Shirley, like, bitch, I ain't seen you in a minute. You know what I mean? Like, it had been a long time since she had asked me for a fucking cigarette. So I was feeling like I would want to give her a cigarette. You feel me? But then I feel fucked up even about that. I don't know. I did a lot of shit today that I think, like, I might have done just out of some fucked up shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel kind of grimy that I was, like, recanting on giving this bitch a cigarette. Like, I was like, yeah, I don't want to fucking give this bitch a cigarette. But I did. But I guess in retrospect, like, when you give something that you really don't have to give, you be like, why did you give that shit away? Like, what kind of spirit was over me? Sometimes I got a foolish spirit about me, and I'd be just like, oh, here, take this. But I think it's more so, like, a sympathy to understand where the fuck a nigga's coming from. Like, I know what it's like to not have a cigarette, but where's Miss Shirley now? I would never ask Miss Shirley for a cigarette, and that's, like, the disparity in our friendship. But, anyways, I just want to talk about Miss Shirley, because that shit was wild to me. And this bitch stole my fucking rolling papers, bruh. And she stole my rolling papers, bruh. Why did I go back to the crib to go get my rolling papers? So I was like, I definitely left my rolling papers. I came back to get them, and there was no rolling papers. Miss Shirley fucking got me. And the fucked up thing was, I gave Miss Shirley 2 rolling papers before I dipped. And that's why I know this bitch took them. And this is how I know. Okay? 2 was not enough. My Altoids container where I rolled the weed, can't find that either. I'm just like, damn, bruh. Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley, why? Miss Shirley, why did you get me? I don't know. Miss fucking Shirley. Alright, I'm gonna leave.